Hello YouTubers, you're on the Frederick Lopez channel, and today I'm going to be going over my personal favorite top 10 episodes of Superman, the animated series. Now, in a previous video, which you can see in the link below, I went over my personal top 15 favorite Batman, the animated series episodes. Okay, so I figured I would do Superman, so starting with number 10 is an episode called The Demon Reborn. It is the third time we saw Batman and Superman crossover, and this time Superman meets Ra's al Ghul. And there's a shipment robbery on a train at the beginning of Metropolis. He runs into Talia, and they're looking for this ancient talisman that can steal energy. And it's a part of a bigger plan, and Batman tries to warn Superman, hey, don't underestimate Ra's, something bigger is going on. To make a long story short, Ra's al Ghul's dying, he's very old and feeble, and he wants to steal Superman's strength through the Lazarus Pit and the crystal they stole to gain ultimate power. And there's a brief period where he does gain ultimate power, and Superman and Batman must stop Ra's al Ghul, the demon's head. Such a great episode. I really love the action, and it's another nice crossover between Batman the Animated Series and Superman the Animated Series, and is among one of my favorites. So The Demon Reborn at number 10. Number 9 on my list is the pilot episode called The Last Son of Krypton. It's in 3 parts, but I count it as one episode. I like it. It's an introduction to Superman. It starts on Krypton, Jor-El. Krypton's about to explode. He must get his infant son Kal-El out and sends him to Earth. Then the Kents find him, and then there we're introduced to like a younger Clark Kent, where he learns how to fly, meet Lana Lang, and then eventually it's Clark Kent working at the Daily Planet, meeting Lois Lane for the first time. He meets Lex for the first time, and it's basically Superman the movie in a way. It's like the origin of Superman arriving on Earth, being Metropolis's savior and hero, and I really love it. It follows the comics pretty well, and it's nice that they can get so much information in 3 parts. So it's about an hour. It's almost like 1 hour of a movie. It's The Last Son of Krypton, and it's a wonderful introduction. Among one of my favorite pilots for Superman, in addition to Smallville and then Lois and Clark. The encounter with Lex Luthor and Superman reminds me very much of the ending of Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. And when he saves Lois at the beginning, it totally reminds me of Superman the movie with Margot Kidder and Christopher Reeve. All around, it's a great start to Superman the Animated Series. Not only does it bring you the character and tells you what the story's going to be about, but it also sets the tone for the rest of the show. Number 8 on my list is a different type of crossover. Instead of Green Lantern or Batman, we're now introduced to the Flash for the first time. It's an episode called Speed Demons. I love this episode. It's basically about the Superman-Flash race, and then danger ensues and they have to like stop them, but it's really great that you get to see 2 speedsters see which one's the fastest. Now, of course, the Flash is much faster than Superman, but such a cool moment, and it's based on that one comic, and I love it. It's a fun episode, and it's nice seeing another hero other than Superman, and that's also very powerful. He's not human like Batman. The Flash is very fast. He's the Flash. So it's nice seeing Superman and the Flash work together, and gives us a taste of what Justice League could be like in the future before it was even a thought, and I love it. It's one of my favorite episodes, and it's very fun. Number 7 on my list is an episode called Pixilated. It's another fun episode. It stars Gilbert Gottfried as Mr. Mizzlepix. I think that's how you pronounce it. I can never pronounce his name. It's kind of a tongue twister to me, but forgive me if I get it wrong, but yeah, it's a very fun episode. It's a crazy character. He's from another dimension, and he just toys with Clark Kent and Superman. He knows it's Superman, and he challenges him in different ways. And in order to stop him from annoying Superman, Superman must trick him in saying his name backwards. Such a fun episode, and an interesting character that's very underrated. He's a worthy foe for Superman because it's not exactly physical strength. It's about brains and bronze and how to outsmart this guy. So it's very funny, and yeah, Gilbert Gottfried played the voice of Iago in Aladdin, so he offers a bit of comic relief, and it's nice seeing some of the stuff from where he's from in the other dimension. But all around, it's a very fun and just wacky episode of Superman the Animated Series. It allows for more lighthearted episodes than in Batman, so it really shows like a different type of Superman here, and ultimately a different part of that universe. Number 6 on my list is an episode called Target. Wonderful episode. It has Lois Lane targeted by a stalker, a person who once knew her, and she wins this award, and she's receiving death threats. If she wins, she dies, and she's rigged to basically get killed. Superman stops it, but also Clark Kent's with her, and he has to, like, protect her at all times. They're targeting her while he's with her. So he has to fake injuries he doesn't have because she doesn't know he's Superman. So you get to see him play more with his dual identity, but also you get to see Lois and Clark work together, and then ultimately Superman intercede with the case. And it's a very procedural type of show. It's a little bit more down to earth than the other ones. It's a human enemy. And he's basically a stalker wanting to kill Lois Lane, so it has that, again, feeling of the New Adventures of Lois and Clark, and it's a really great Lois and Clark episode where you get to see them two work together and their dynamic. Number 5 on my list is an episode called The Late Mr. Kent. Pretty much it involves Clark Kent dying, or so people think. There is an accident that occurred, and he basically was supposed to die, but Superman survived. But people can't know that Clark Kent's Superman, so they think Clark Kent is dead. So he's like undercover. And this is great because Lois Lane, everybody, Perry White, Jimmy Olsen, they're all affected at the Daily Planet over Clark Kent's death, and they're trying to figure out what exactly happened. But the brilliant part about it is that somebody is charged for murder, and it's an innocent man, so Superman can't let an innocent man be charged with that. So he's basically working undercover and trying not to reveal his identity as Clark Kent. He's trying to keep Clark Kent dead as long as possible until the right time. And I like how they get out of it, because it's not like one of those things where he can't get back from. Lana Lang ends up helping him, and he says he was with her the whole time. And you get some nice jealous moments of Lois Lane towards Lana that are really funny. But I like it because it's a very different type of Superman episode. Again, it's more the brains and brawn, and then him suppressing the Clark Kent side for a while, and then just working as Superman, or the Clark Kent that we all know, that Jonathan and Martha Kent know. He's not like the journalist, reporter trying to blend in. He's basically Superman. So I really like that aspect of the episode. Number 4 on my list is a two-parter called Apocalypse Now. I love this episode. Darkseid was teased throughout the series, but this is the first time we really get to see Darkseid invade Earth, parademons, just everything. The new gods from Orion. It just gets nuts, and it's basically one of Superman's darkest moments. I love the episode. It's an action-packed epic and very much like a precursor again to the Justice League stuff you'll see later. Michael Ironside voices Darkseid, and then you have Dan Turpin. He's the police officer there that based his appearance off of Jack Kirby, and it's a sad episode. He keeps us into the bargain, but at the last minute, Dan Turpin pretty much like says stuff to Darkseid, and Darkseid uses his Omega beams and kills Dan Turpin and then leaves. And this is the most angry I've ever seen Superman. Nobody can make Superman as angry as Darkseid. He basically like crushes one of the tanks of the parademons and then causes like a miniature earthquake to happen in Metropolis. He gets really, really angry, and it's a great moment because it shows his strength, but also it shows his vulnerabilities. It shows you that he can't change everything. With all his powers, he couldn't stop him from getting killed by Darkseid. It just shows you that moment of vulnerability and just despair that Superman's in that episode. So not only is it an epic and then everybody is kind of saved at the end, there's still tragedy and he can't change it, and it's sad. It carries with him. He carries the weight of that death at the end of the episode. And it's just one of those sad moments of Superman that gets very deep from the other lighthearted episodes. It shows you that there's still deep moments here. And it adds a lot to the character of Superman, and ultimately to his feud with Darkseid, not only in this series, but with Justice League. Number 3 on my list is a nice episode called Brave New Metropolis. I love it. Lois, there's like this fight going on, and Lois gets transported. You think she dies, but she gets transported to the future. And in this future, Superman thought that she died, and he pretty much loses it. He becomes like a dictator. It's pretty much pre-Injustice Gods Among Us. He's allies with Lex Luthor, and he's stricter on crime. It's like a no man's land in Metropolis. It's very dystopian, and Superman is to blame. He's all in black with red and armor. And you can see the effect it has with Lois gone. You see how important Lois Lane is as a character to Clark Kent / Superman. And you can also see the danger he poses. What he could become if he didn't remember what the Kents taught him, or him having Lois or anybody to love. Like, you see the darker side of Superman in this episode, but it's a nice kind of like filler, just type of otherworldly episode that ultimately goes to her going back to the present day where she's not dead, and Superman can find her and not go bad. So the two Supermen see each other. Such a great moment, and him and Lois kiss. It's such a great episode to really show not only what he could become, but also what him and Lois would have in the future later on in the show, much like the comics. And it is a Brave New Metropolis, one of my favorites. Number 2 on my list is a 3-parter that was made into the Batman Superman movie called World's Finest. Now, what makes this episode so awesome is that it's Superman the Animated Series, same crew who did Batman the Animated Series. Well, they did the New Adventures while Superman aired on WB. They're on Saturdays. And Superman and Batman, World's Finest, the world's finest of heroes, cross over for the first time and meet each other in this episode. I love it. It starts off with the Joker and Harley Quinn. There's still this kind of like Jade Dragon statue, but it's actually made out of kryptonite. They go to Metropolis. They're tired of the Batman. They can't defeat him, so he decides to make a deal with Lex Luthor to kill Superman. The only problem is Bruce Wayne picked up on the kryptonite, and he's there for a business meeting with Lex Luthor. And it's a great episode. You have Batman and Superman meet face-to-face for the first time. Bruce Wayne dates Lois Lane for a bit, but she happens to figure out he's Batman somehow through a series of events, and she doesn't know Clark Kent's Superman. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, you have Clark Kent, you have Superman uses X-ray vision. He knows Bruce is Batman, but Batman gets one type of throw on him. He throws him on the table the one time, and he puts a tracker, and he knows he's Clark Kent. So it shows you, even though he's not as powerful as Superman, he's very smart and can keep up with him. And you get to see their rivalry. They do not get along. This isn't like the Super Friends where it's like, hello, Batman, hello, Superman. No, this is night and day. And it's such a well-crafted episode. And in many ways, this crossover is better than the Batman, Superman, Dawn of Justice movie. Better than any of the other stuff. It presents the exact polar opposites of Batman and Superman. The night and day aspect of that. Alien versus human. And ultimately, they must work together to stop Lex Luthor and the Joker. And it's such a great episode, and I like how they utilize both the Bruce Wayne persona, Clark Kent persona, and the Superman Batman personas in there, while Lois is kind of like in the center. So it very much feels like a movie. It was released as a movie. So yeah, definitely one of my favorites. And if you're a Batman fan or a Superman fan, if you're a fan of both, check out World's Finest. It's one of the best episodes of the series. Now, I almost put Brave New Metropolis in number 1, but I think my favorite episode, and this is my personal favorite, is the finale called Legacy. Superman wakes up and pretty much Darkseid brainwashed him. He doesn't remember the Kents. He remembers being raised by Lord Darkseid. He thinks he's Darkseid's son, and because of that, they brainwash him, and he pretty much tries to overrule Earth. And they end up capturing Superman, and the public doesn't trust him, he doesn't remember, and then he realizes he was brainwashed. And it's such a crazy episode, not only, again, like Brave New Metropolis, showing you what Superman could be like, but Darkseid is behind everything and used him to invade Earth instead of going to Earth himself. And also, this is the first time out of this lighthearted show where you really had the public against Superman in every way. Lois has trouble trusting him at first. And he has to basically gain the public's trust again. And he doesn't really do it by the end of the episode. But I love it because you finally have him confront Darkseid at Apocalypse. He just wreaks havoc on parademons, fights Darkseid, uses his laser vision. It is crazy. He liberates Apocalypse. And then the people, at the end, do not overthrow Darkseid. They help him. And Superman's just godsmacked. And Darkseid just says, "Here, I am God." And it's just a powerful moment, again, that Superman's unable to stop this ultimate evil. He liberated these people, but these people still help Darkseid because to them, he is a god. And that really just is a ballsy thing to do in a cartoon, especially with Superman, that he can't stop this Darkseid after all that. But it also shows you his strength. Darkseid's a one guy where he really doesn't have to hold back on. But I love it too because you have that and then the whole public after him, and then that ending where Lois is pretty much saying, hey, the public are going to trust you eventually, and you have them on the roof of the Daily Planet by the globe. They kiss, so it shows you that she's going to be with him no matter what. And eventually he's going to gain the public's trust. Such a great episode, but yeah, those are my favorite episodes of Superman the Animated Series. Those are my top 10 now. They may not be the best, and they may be different from some others, but these are my personal favorites. So if you did not hear an episode that's on my list, feel free to let me know some of your favorites in the comments below. If I mentioned some of them, let me know what your favorites were. in the comments below. But yeah, definitely check out Superman, the animated series. It is a great series. It aired in the late 90s to early 2000s, and I watched some of it, but I wasn't an avid fan like I was in Batman. I later on caught these on DVD, and I had the Batman Superman movie for quite a while. So yeah, if you're a fan of Justice League or Batman, definitely check out Superman, the animated series. I just love those episodes, and it's a very lighthearted show. Tim Daly's Superman, Clancy Brown's Lex, and Dana Delany, of course, is Lois Lane. Very well done show, lighthearted. It's just the epitome of Superman. If you love shows like Smallville or The New Adventures of Lois and Clark, you should definitely check out Superman. It's very underrated, and originally in Legacy, that was going to be the start of the last season, and they didn't get to finish it. It got canned, and that season was supposed to be dealing with Superman trying to gain the public's trust throughout the entire season. And it's sad that they canceled it, because I would have loved to see that. You can tell they're getting the gist of it. They figured out the right balance between darker and lighter stuff, and they're kind of getting towards the things that made Justice League such a great show. So you can definitely tell this is right before Justice League. But again, the crew behind this, Justice League and Batman, are great writers, creators, and they created among one of the best versions of these characters, these iconic characters. So definitely check out Superman.